If you're a trophy hunter, you have probably seen a trophy list and thought that it's not worth platinuming. I have a lot of games like that, so I decided to change that by platinuming games I almost gave up. The Evil Within has a difficulty score of 9 out of 10, takes 3 playthroughs and 50 hours to complete. If you know anything about the Evil Within trophies, you probably know about the trophy, you ask for it, which you have to finish the game on Akumu mode. In this mode, you will die no matter how small the damage is. You may think this is the reason I gave up, but I actually got this trophy in 2024. The reason I haven't got the platinum trophy yet is because I died more than 500 times in this mode and I still wasn't halfway through the trophy list, so I needed a rest. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of me playing this mode, but I'll mention the parts I thought were particularly hard. Chapter 4, where you have to fight a horde of zombies. Chapter 5, where you have to fight a larger horde of zombies while protecting your partner Joseph. Chapter 6, where you have to fight a horde of zombies in a tight space while protecting Joseph and waiting for him to open a door. Chapter 11, where you have to fight a horde of zombies with guns. Chapter 12, where you have to fight a horde of zombies shooting at you with no ammo. Luckily, Joseph and Kidman were there to save me. Finally, Chapter 13, where I had to go through the Roomba Room of Death. Anyway, to finish off most of the miscellaneous trophies, I restarted the game on New Game Plus. I also got to use some of the rewards for beating the game on Akumu mode. One of which is the Brace Knuckles, which you can do something like this. Using the Brace Knuckles, I got the trophy for killing 25 enemies with melee attacks. Most of the chapters have their own specific trophies, and in Chapter 2 I have to finish a part of it without killing any enemies. The key point is not killing, so I use one of the flash bolts to run past all of them. There's also 2 other trophies I got in Chapter 2, one for killing 10 enemies with a rocket launcher. Despite being a rocket launcher, you have to directly hit the enemy to kill them. Second is for stealth killing 5 enemies in a row without being detected. I kind of like how gory the stealth kills are in this game. In Chapter 3, I have to kill the chainsaw guy with a knife. You can use a flashbolt to do this. Chapter 4 is very easy. All you have to do is meet the doctor. Chapter 5 is a bit tricky, because you have to make sure Joseph doesn't take any damage. So to protect him, I place a bomb on him that will detonate when enemies come near.
2 on top and 5...
Chapter 6, you have to save Joseph from falling. I also found a bug here. Around this time, I also got the trophy for killing 400 enemies. And for killing enemies with each bolt. The Agony Crossbow might be my favorite horror game weapon. Chapter 7 might be a bit stressful because you can only kill the safe guy twice and turn the valves while being chased. In Chapter 8 you can't fire your weapons at all, but this isn't hard when you have Brace Knuckles. Chapter 10 you have to defeat Laura, which would be hard if you don't have any New Game Plus weapons. Chapter 12 for not running over any zombie while driving the bus. Chapter 14 for placing all the electrical panels. There was also a glitch here where I couldn't move, so I had to reload a save. That's it with the chapter specific ones, and the rest is for collecting all the collectibles, which includes personal documents, files, map fragments, type recordings, and my favorite, keys. I also got a trophy for opening every locker and for upgrading all stats for Sebastian, weapons, and his capacity. The last 2 trophies are for beating the game without upgrading yourself and within 5 hours. I plan to make this my last playthrough, so I played the game on casual mode and rushed through the game. I only took the necessary green gel to progress the game, which you use to upgrade yourself. This was a slight problem because when the stamina is not upgraded at all, Sebastian runs like a guy that smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day and leads to scenes like this. Despite Sebastian's lungs being darker than Vanta Black, I will constantly have to run. I'll also give a very brief explanation of the story. The main antagonist, Ruvik, sucks in the relevant characters into his mind, but he is only after a boy called Leslie so he can transfer his mind into him to return to the real world. From chapter 2, the actual game starts and I ran past every enemy I could. Defeated the chainsaw guy, ran past the invisible enemies, which are my least favorite type of enemies in horror games. Survived my second encounter with Laura, the scariest enemy in this game. Escaped the Keeper, the best designed enemy in this game. Got slammed by this thing despite only needing to run in a straight line. Got chased by Ruvik. Survived my third encounter with Laura. Definitely did not have a problem with this boss fight. Defeated the spider thing. Easily got past the Roomba Room of Death. Remembered that this place is where the game glitched, so I did a quick save. Swiftly defeated the Keeper, and finally defeated the boss. It's a shame that you never fight Ruvik in his normal form. After skipping the credits, the rest of the trophies popped. It's uncertain, but I really hope that there is a third The Evil Within game. No thanks to Microsoft. Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero has a difficulty of 5 out of 10, takes 1 playthrough and 50 hours to platinum. The reason I almost gave up this platinum is because of this trophy. Fight in 100 online battles. Usually when I play a fighting game, I spend a good amount of time in the story mode before playing online. When I eventually did, it wasn't too bad. I usually found someone to fight within a few minutes until one day nobody was playing this game. I think the combat of this game is both too complicated and simple at the same time. When you're attacking, you're basically just spamming the attack button and occasionally press a different button or do a super move. However, when you're defending, there's like 4 different ways to deal with an attack other than just blocking the attack, and I still don't really understand the timing when to do all of these other moves. Even when I dodge an attack, I get hit sometimes anyway. The frame rate drops at times as well. Unlike other fighting games like Street Fighter 6, it's hard to tell what I'm doing wrong. There's also the animation for the super moves. They look very nice, but after seeing a dozen of them, it gets really boring, especially when your opponent spams them. Maybe I just need to get good. Anyway, the matchmaking wasn't as bad as I thought, but there were times where I would wait for 5 minutes just to get disconnected. Half of the matches I would fight were opponents that have way higher ranks than me, and I think you could guess what happened. I did most of the matches seriously, but I will lose most of the times, and I was also getting bored since it's not uncommon for a match to last till the time runs out. There were some highlights though, like when I was fighting Mr. Satan with Mr. Satan. Eventually I would just use one character so the match would finish sooner, and I got the trophy. I also got a trophy for viewing 20 unique banter scenes as well. I then decided to finish all the story mode related trophies, which were completing every episode including the sparkling episodes, and these were mostly disappointing. Sparkling episodes are episodes that deviate from the main story, but most are just how Frieza, Cell and Majin Buu were defeated earlier than the main story. Some are good, but the only great one is Gohan Black, where something actually significant changes. Frieza's sparkling episode had potential because you can recruit Cooler to your team during the Tournament of Power, but it doesn't expand any further than that. After finishing all of each character's episodes, I got their respective trophies and a trophy for completing all of them. After that, I grinded for the trophy, a flair for fighting, for viewing 20 special finishers. This trophy is kind of weird because there's only 3 characters with special finishers, which are Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and Master Roshi. I just kept grinding and got the trophy. I then grinded for the Dragon Balls, which can only be obtained in offline matches. I needed Shenron and Porunga. Shenron was quick, but the Namekian Dragon Balls are less likely to drop. For every 3 Earth Dragon Balls, you get 1 Namekian Dragon Ball, but even normal Dragon Balls only drop once every 5 matches, so I probably did more than 100 matches to get all of them. Lastly, I needed to complete 30 bonus battles. These bonus battles are like mini what-if stories, and some of them make you change the way you play. I also encountered a bug here where the match wouldn't finish. They were actually quite fun to play, and after finishing 30 of them, the trophy Dream Battle Pop along with the Platinum. The game may be a bit disappointing, but I'm glad I bought it. Celeste has a difficulty of 2 out of 10, takes 1 playthrough and 15 hours to complete, but depending on how you play the game, the difficulty would be at least 8 out of 10 and 40 hours to platinum. The reason why it's a 2 out of 10 is because of assist mode, which turns the game into this. This is also the reason I didn't really thought it was worth getting the platinum the normal way when there's basically an easy mode. I already finished the campaign, so I decided to get all the strawberries first, and some people might hate me for this, but I use assist mode for this. I really couldn't be bothered to do this, especially when there's no real reward for doing it. I also got the trophy 1-up by collecting 6 strawberries without touching the ground. I then collected all the crystal hearts I could at that point, and I honestly didn't even try solving the puzzles. Next were the B-sides and are harder versions of the normal levels. I already completed the levels to chapter 4, so I tried chapter 5, and it had been several months since I last played the game, but I really enjoyed it when I got used to the controls. It was still frustrating dying several dozen times each section, but overcoming these hard parts were always satisfying. Here's also the amount of times I died. I then skipped chapter 6 for some reason and started the B-side of chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a combination of all the other previous levels, and it wasn't too hard until I got to the wind section. I really don't like the wind when it's blowing against you, not just because it's hard, but I also push my controller harder than I need to. I still managed to get past it until I got to the end of the chapter. From this point I wasn't really enjoying the game anymore, but I still wanted to finish the game legitimately because I already spent hours on this chapter. Luckily I was able to before I went insane. Celeste is a good game. It has great platforming, a heartwarming story, and a great soundtrack. But it's not good enough for me to want to platinum it the intended way when there's a much easier way to do. I still have the B-sides of chapter 6, 8 and the C-sides, which are shorter but harder than the B-sides. I'm not proud of myself, but after finishing the B-side of chapter 7 I use assist mode for the rest of the game. So the rest of the gameplay was me just spamming the dash button. After finishing the B-side of chapter 8, the C-sides were unlocked and I just dashed through them. I then got the platinum trophy for beating the C-side of chapter 8. In a way, I did fail at this game. Maybe one day I'll replay this game to actually finish it, including the final chapter, which doesn't have any trophies tied to it. Definitely not the golden strawberries though. Trek to Yomi has a difficulty of 5 out of 10, takes 2 playthroughs and 12 hours to obtain the platinum trophy. I remember really wanting to play the game, mostly because of the art style, which looks like it belongs in the 1950s. Unfortunately, the game wasn't as good as I thought it would be, which is the reason why I really didn't bother getting the platinum until now. The game is very simple with limited exploration, and you basically experience all what the game offers by the end of chapter 4, which is roughly 50% of the main story. To remember how the game controls, I started by getting the unbeatable for completing a chapter without dying and using a shrine which I used to heal you and save. I played on the easiest mode and you can heal by doing a finisher, so it wasn't hard at all. I then played the game on the hardest difficulty, Kensei mode. In this mode, every enemy aside from bosses die in one hit, but so do you. I actually like this harder mode because it's not just a simple buff for enemies. Chapter 1 starts off with you as a kid and you have to go through an unskippable tutorial. The village then gets attacked and the main character, Hiroki's teacher, dies in the battle, ending the chapter. I died 6 times. In chapter 2, Hiroki gets ambushed and he goes to a village to kill one of the goons who tells him that his village is under attack. Ending the chapter. I died 19 times. You get a trophy for defeating the boss without taking any damage each chapter from chapter 2 onwards, and since I die in one hit anyway, I got the trophy. In chapter 3, Hiroki's village is burnt down and he and his girlfriend are killed by the guy from chapter 1. You're supposed to die here, but you can actually defeat him to get a trophy, but I'll be doing this later. I died 18 times. In chapter 4, Hiroki goes to Yomi, which is hell. That's why it's called Trek to Yomi. I died 21 times. There's not much story in chapter 5, and it's also when the game starts to get a bit stale. I also want to mention some minor problems I had with the game. The game sometimes zooms out or blocks your view, which makes it hard to see what you're doing, though it's nice to look at. The game also gives you many different combos, but there's not really any reason to use them. Anyway, I died 49 times. Chapter 6 is important because it's where you get to choose the ending. There are 3 main endings and I already got the path for Fury, which is kind of the bad ending. For my second playthrough, I chose the Path of Duty, where Hiroki has to kill his girlfriend and he gets revived. This is also where I got another trophy for killing 3 enemies with an Ozutsu with 1 shot. This was annoying because the enemies on the side won't get hit, so I had to wait for the perfect timing. I died 53 times. In chapter 7 you defeat the main villain and in the ending Hiroki becomes a teacher. I also got the trophy for beating the game on the hardest difficulty, which was pretty hard. I died 83 times and half was from the boss. The next trophy I wanted was the early bird trophy for killing the chapter 3 boss. The one I'm supposed to lose to. I don't like this trophy because there's no chapter select and if you die you have to play the game from the beginning, which happened to me once. It took me dozens of tries but I got it. Last playthrough I needed to get the final ending and also collect all the collectibles, which are health and stamina upgrades, skills and lore items. My favorite are the yokai ones. I defeated the boss again and got the love ending. Of course, Hiroki did stab his teacher for it. I still think it's a good game, so if you're interested, I would recommend trying it out. Just for the art style alone is worth it. Thank you for watching it this far in the video. If you liked it, please give a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again in another video.